Today, on August 1st, I'm going to take you to a square named after August 1st. That's the Baiyi Square in my hometown Nanchang. It's the second largest square in China, only after the Tiananmen Square in Beijing, and it's a miniature of the Tiananmen Square. Actually, not only the square is named after August 1st, but it is also a main avenue, a park, as well as a bridge in the city. What does Nanchang have to do with August 1st? Keep watching the video and let's start with the music fountain show performed every night at the square.
Hello, I'm Yan Yan. Today I'm at the Baiyi Square in my hometown Nanchang, Jiangxi Province. This is a miniature of the Tiananmen Square in Beijing with a flagpole, a monument, and 2 gold water bridges.
This is the Tiananmen Square in the center of Beijing. And this is the Baiyi Square. The biggest similarity is that both have a monument. The monument in Tiananmen Square is called Monument to the People's Heroes. It is to commemorate all heroes ever since the Opium War in 1840 who died in fighting to expel foreign powers and establish an independent country. If the monument in Tiananmen Square is dedicated to all heroes who fought for the independence of China, the one in Baiyi Square is dedicated to a specific event during this process.
The monument was erected to commemorate the August 1st uprising happened a century ago. The uprising failed, but it's left with a great legacy. The People's Liberty Army was born.
Baiyi in Mandarin is an abbreviation of August 1st. That's the date the Nanchang Uprising happened in 1927. More than 20,000 soldiers participated, but the uprising was soon suppressed. Only 800 soldiers were left. Those 800 soldiers became the predecessor of the People's Liberation Army. Therefore, although Nanchang Uprising was a failed uprising, Nanchang is recognized as the birthplace of People's Liberation Army, and August 1st became the Army Day. In the center of the Baiyi Square, there is a flagpole on the base of which it says the place where the flag of the army was raised. In Tiananmen Square, there is also a flagpole where the national flag is raised every morning the same time as the sun starts rising. In Baiyi Square, there is an inscription below the glass floor starting from the flagpole that recorded the milestones of the People's Liberation Army, a long road from the 800 soldiers to today's world's top 3 military power. Not only are the monument and the square named Baiyi, but is also this avenue next to the square.
This avenue is called Baiyi Avenue. It was the location of the ancient city wall and the city moat. A century ago, the city wall was removed and the city moat was filled and it was turned into a wide avenue.
Like all ancient cities in China, Nanchang used to have city walls and 7 city gates, but they were all demolished. This is where the city walls were on today's map. The Baiyi Avenue is at the place of the moat outside the eastern city wall. And the Baiyi Square was originally a swamp outside the ancient city. During the Qing dynasty in late 19th century, the government turned the swamp into a training ground for troops stationed in Nanchang. Baiyi Square was built on that training ground in 1956 and has been the second largest city square in China.
It is the second largest square in China, only after the Tiananmen Square in Beijing. I think it's bigger than the Red Square in Moscow. And when I was at the Times Square for the first time about 15 years ago, I was like, why is that such a small corner to be called a square?
Now looking back after living in the US, I feel that was only the tiniest difference among all the differences in culture and politics between these two countries. In the square, there is a red flag made of flowers. It's for the 100th anniversary of CCP. A month ago, on July the 1st, there was a meeting of more than 70,000 people in Tiananmen Square for that same purpose. And the setting was kept in the square for a month for visitors to take photos. August the 1st is the Army Day. In 6 years, it would be the 100th anniversary of People's Liberation Army. There is a possibility of a military parade here in Baiyi Square instead of in Tiananmen Square, according to my guess. At least the Baiyi Avenue is wide enough for that. To the west of the Baiyi Square, across the Baiyi Avenue, there is an architecture with big red star and 6 tall columns. This revolutionary style architecture was the old exhibition center of Nanchang. I think it is also trying to mimic the Great Hall of the People located to the west of Tiananmen Square, where top political meetings of China are held and foreign leaders are received. The most remarkable feature of the Great Hall of the People is the 10 huge columns at the entrance. And the old exhibition center of Nanchang has 6. Next to the exhibition center is a bookstore and a department store. These two were one of only a few bookstores and department stores in the city when I was little. Now, I'm not sure these two are still in operation. In Beijing, to the northwest of the Tiananmen Square, there is a park named Zhongshan Park in commemoration of Mr. Sun Zhongshan. In Nanchang, to the west of the Baiyi Square, there is also a road named Zhongshan Road. Who is Mr. Sun Zhongshan? He was one of those who were trying to find a way out for China during the darkest time. He led the uprising that overthrew the Qing dynasty in 1910 and built a democratic republic, although it didn't last long. 2 years after the uprising he led, Mr. Sun Zhongshan was in Baiyi Square, which at that time, of course, was just a training ground, inspecting the local Jiangxi troops. The Zhongshan Road in Nanchang, as in many cities, are in commemoration of this forerunner of the country.
Here we are. This is the entrance of Zhongshan Road. Let's go.
The Zhongshan Road is the main road in downtown Nanchang. There are all kinds of stores on both sides of the road. On Lantern Festival this year, I was also walking on this road from the other direction, looking for the 3 places that the Italian priest Matteo Ricci was staying during his 3 years in Nanchang in the 16th century. 2 are near the Zhongshan Road.
According to research, this is also one of the places that Matteo Ricci stayed during his years in Nanchang. Now it's a department store.
Next to the Zhongshan Road, there is a lake. And this is another place Matteo Ricci stayed, an island in the middle of the lake. Now it's a park, and the park also has the name Bayi. If you are interested in knowing more about Nanchang, I've made several videos about it. Check out the links in the description box. You can watch a show at Princeton's Pavilion that will bring you back to the Tang Dynasty. Or you can go to the Lantern Festival Fair with me, touring the Wanshou Palace historic area. You can also follow my camera and hike to the peak of Nanchang. I'm Yan Yan. I make videos about sites of interest in China and histories and stories behind them. Subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.